Some magnificent new hardware is on the boat. Hi, my name is Aladino, and together with my wife Maya, we are refitting a Cape George Cutter 36. Last week we got a lot done. We got the engine into its final position finally, and we installed the rub rails, we installed the chain plates, we installed the bowsprit with its platform, and we also got started on varnishing the cabin sole inside the salon. This week I'm gonna continue doing some work on the bowsprit, and Maya's gonna continue on the cabin sole. I have done the bob stay yesterday. Shiny, shiny, it looks great. The whisker stays instead are the originals. I just put them in place to see if they still fit, because I've put the chain plates in a bit of a new location. The boat never came with its original whisker chain plates. We recently visited Paul at Ocean Rigging and Hydraulics, and that was a few episodes ago. He set us up with the materials needed to build the bob stay and the whisker stays. These are the stays to structurally hold the bowsprit in position. I already did the bob stay off camera, but now I'm gonna do the whisker stays. This is with 1x19 wire where they're all the same. There is a core in the center, and then there's some around it. What did I do? I cut just to have a clean, fresh start. Don't forget to insert part of the fitting, of course, before opening it. And now the next thing is the cone. So let me double check. There's the former cone in here. This one goes like that. So this one goes in here into the core. Oh, that slipped in quite far. It doesn't need to go that far. And then I'll close it up again. And we only want to expose about 1/8 of an inch. And now I can close the lay of the wires again. And then I have to keep pushing this one down. Okay, and now it's just the fiddly part. Just making sure that they're all laying how they should and that there is none inside the crevice, this one here, because it tightens up and closes up the gap when you tighten it, so there should be no strands in there. All right, now I can bend these ends around the cone by putting on the other end of the fitting. Happy with that. Rigging is so satisfying and not toxic. Maybe I'll work more on rigging in the future. No more boat building. I'll become a rigger. Yeah. Silicone! That's the only thing that I will have to live with if I want to become a rigger. Tough call. Tough call, but on the other side, if I don't have to do boat building and varnishing anymore, who cares? Maybe silicone will become my best friend. I doubt it though, from past experiences.
Where that leads.
It's so funny. I recommend not doing this when a camera is rolling, because I literally just did 8 of them and they all went so smoothly. So I feel like a pro, but now that the camera is on, the wires don't quite unlay and lay back together as smoothly. It's getting there though. Yeah, calm down. First we gotta see if it fits, because otherwise the dini cries in a moment again. Ta-da! So actually now I'll take this to the other side, see if it fits there, and then I can just copy this one because it is with the same fittings, instead of making the translation from swage to mechanical fitting. Yeah, if this one fits on starboard, then I'll do the other one. And yeah, I'm super stoked to have this beautiful hardware on here. Very nice.
Meanwhile, inside, I was putting the first coat of varnish on our cabin sole. So I know I mentioned last week what varnish systems I'm using, but just to repeat it again. So I'm building up several coats with Epiphanis PP Extra varnish, and that's just because it clears, or it dries really, really quickly. It's really easy to apply, and it's a really nice hard coat. But then I'm finishing it off with probably 2 to 3 coats of Epiphanis PU Clear. That's a really hard wearing varnish that's really good for hard wearing surfaces like a floor or like a countertop. And then the final will be PU Satin Finish. So the same really hard wearing stuff, but just with a bit of a satin finish for that soft glow that you guys know I love on all the interior woodwork. Things were also progressing in the container, where I was doing the same varnish treatment to all of the hatches and the other parts of the boat that I can actually remove and do in the container.
In the head, this has been a long time coming. I finally finished fiberglassing and fairing all the components, so the next step will be paint here. The head project was not very well filmed from my side. It's a little small and I broke it up into different days, but you've all seen me fiberglass and fair before.
Hello everyone.
Hello!
It has been actually a week pretty much since the last footage you just saw to today.
Maybe even more.
Yeah.
I got sick and then the videographer got sick.
Yes.
You're still a bit sick.
I'm still a bit sick. Yeah, it really knocked us out pretty bad cold, and it sure sucks to wear a mask when you're like Yeah.
Yeah, but that's what's been happening.
Yeah, so we haven't had very much energy and not a lot has happened, but the few things that did happen on the boat, we just didn't film. So we're gonna quickly walk through and update you guys a little bit. I'm sorry we have to do it like this, but yeah, that's where we're at now.
Oh yeah, we can start with the first thing, which is this thing of beauty right here. Rain has caught us off guard, but yeah, this is our chain slope. Chain lands here, chain gets directed under the V-berth. Yeah, very excited to test this soon. But now I've just added a little tip to it because now I know where the chain is actually going to fall, and I've added this slippery oomph plastic to it. The other task that has been on my mind for quite a while is a depth sounder and a speedometer. Now we had one on starboard, it was in the salon, and I didn't want to have any through holes there. I want to have that just as purely a storage. If cans knock around, I don't want that to maybe compromise a through hole. A location that I personally really like for through holes is at the bow, by the removable V-berth section that you can pull out, usually right down there. So we made a few measurements and we saw that it could work here as well. Now most commonly depth sounders, they come with a fairing block, but I personally don't really like those. They protrude from the hull. I decided to go with a normal style through hull. So I found one that actually mounts on a bronze through hull. And I also found one that has 3 functions. So depth sounder, speedometer and temperature all in one. So that's why it's called a triducer instead of a transducer, I guess. It's 3 functions instead of 2. So yeah, this one came in, and then the concern was, well, I want to mount it on the stem, and the width, I have a certain width here, which I do not always have on the stem of a boat. So I had to travel to a place where I did have an acceptable compromise, but we also know that our hull is pretty beefy. So I started off with pouring a bit of resin from inside, and that is just to get a level surface, because the hull being V-shaped, of course, I do not have a level surface. And then I drilled through the center. One problem that I ran into is that the hull is really, really thick. And this through hull isn't the longest, which would have been a lot easier if I had a longer one. So this looks like plenty enough, right? If you're on a not so beefy sailboat. But yeah, now you can see that insane. This is only resin, of course. That's what I poured in. But this is all solid fiberglass, which was the hull.
That's so crazy.
So yeah, this is all done now. I'm just explaining the history of the task. But yeah, I've clear coated it. I think this is a pretty nice showpiece. So now basically the through hull is ready for installation.
All right, welcome to the container. These are now done. These are the hatch covers for the saloon and that little hallway area between the head and all that storage that we have. And I'm so happy with how it turned out. This is another thing that progressed this week. So there's how many layers of PP Extra? I think there's 4 layers of PP Extra, 3 layers of the polyurethane clear gloss, and 2 layers of the polyurethane satin finish. So these are well and truly protected. And I can't even describe to you like how calming it is to know that all this work and all these pretty things are sort of like well protected beneath a really hard layer of protective stuff. Yeah, I think that polyurethane clear gloss and the satin was a great call. I'm really happy with how the satin looks too. So normally for the satin finish varnish, as many of you know, we use a 1-component varnish called Rub Defect from Epiphanis, and it's got this beautiful amber tint to it and this lovely soft satin glow. It's what we've used on all the interior woodwork. And it's so pretty, but it's not as hard wearing as this stuff. So for the floors, we really wanted something a bit more hard wearing. And I didn't know if I would like it as much because this satin finish doesn't have that lovely amber tint. But I do really like it. I think it turned out great.
Another thing I'm trying to wrap my head around is finalizing more hardware that goes on deck. And now one thing that would be really great is if we had self-tailing winches. These two Variant 27s came with the boat. They were the primary winches, but they can be self-tailers, but they need some parts for that. So I reached out to a company that still has those parts. They're in Australia. It's Hutton Winches, I believe. And I got quoted $750 just for a piece here that is called the line lifter. So yeah, granted to say we didn't go for it. So, but in the meantime, we got an amazing email from a guy over in Europe, Jens. He reached out, he said he's upgrading his winches. If we want his old ones, they're ours if we cover shipping. So bye-bye variants. And these amazing Barbarossa winches are what arrived in the mail. So as you can see, these are self-tailers and they are complete. First of all, huge thanks to Jens for sending these over. We love repurposing self-tailing winches. And as you can see, they are also beefier, which is always a good thing. And there was one little accident though during shipping. So you can see that there is this part here. This one is plastic. And on the second winch, it actually broke during shipping. So this is not crucial. It's more just not to get the rope jammed. So yeah, the other day when the boat was toxic inside, I came into the container and I disassembled one winch, and then I started trying to machine this piece of plastic. So let me take this apart real quick. So this is the actual piece of plastic. You can see it's a ring, and then it has this shape to it here. Could have been made out of metal, which is maybe better, so it will never break. But as you know, I'm not great with metal. But I had a piece of plastic, and so I started machining it out of plastic, and I think I'm getting to a really good result. Well, here it is now. Of course, it looks uglier than the original, but it works.
It really doesn't actually look that much uglier, though. I mean, you did a great job at this, Aladino.
Thank you. It still is a little too thick. This one normally spins freely. This one doesn't right now because I have a little too much material. I have to take it out again, sand down a bit of material, but I'm pretty happy with the shape.
Yeah, you did a great job with that.
And I actually got it out of I got it out of this cutting board, so it was quite a mission. First I cut a disc, then I had to plane down the thickness that I need, and then I started cutting at an angle. It was a fun little mission. Mm-hmm. Now these winches are in the game again. I'm looking forward to installing them. They're bigger, so that will have some implications. I have to make some modifications. I have to make them fit. But overall, I'm really looking forward to having these very beefy winches. Oh no.
Wow, look at the difference between the gloss and the satin.
Totally.
Oh my gosh, I know I've said it before, but I literally feel like the satin finish is just a necessity. It just looks so much better than that harsh glare from the gloss. Yeah, you can see we've had a lot of problem with dust, especially the PU on such a big flat surface. It takes a long time to dry, but you know, it is what it is. It's a floor. I'm not gonna get too precious about it. All right, so the only reason we brought the hatches over here today is actually because Aladino is going to put another coat in the head, which is another thing which has happened this past week. Yeah, the head's looking great, and I'm really excited once we finally put the countertop in there and choose a sink and stuff. It's going to be a lovely space. It's actually more spacious than I think I thought it was. Now that sort of the furniture is going in, somehow it really seems not too bad. So yeah, basically what I'm saying is the hatches, because they're now okay to stand on, it just makes it a little easier for him to get to the head. But then we'll take them out tomorrow when I sand the rest of the floors and put on a coat of the satin. I cannot get over how good a satin finish looks. So much better than the gloss. Just to me, like night and day. It's almost not even an option. It's like a necessity. Yeah, it just looks wonderful. Okay, so I think that pretty much concludes this week. I'm sorry it's been a bit of a weird video, a bit of a weird week. Hopefully next week we're going to be back with full energy. I'm actually going to go home and lay down because that was enough standing up for me today. Huge thank you for being here. Huge thank you to the folks whose names are now appearing on screen for always going above and beyond to make sure this refit keeps going. Extra big thanks to the patrons who make sure that this refit keeps going. We publish real-time walkthroughs on Patreon every week. If you're interested in those, you can sign up for as little as $2 a month. We really, really appreciate it. It's what keeps this going. It's what allows us to do this sponsor-free, which is really, really exciting. And yeah, we'll be back next week with a more regular episode, I hope. Thanks so much, everyone. Talk to you later. Bye.